2003, I was sentenced to 144 years. So when I tell you I'm happy to be here, I really do mean that, man. This is the Stay Free Show where every single day I get up here and I answer questions that you may have, somebody you may know may have, whatever it is that it may be the case, man. I talk about a broad, group of different topics, but the foundation of it all is prison. Why? Because, again, I was there for 17 years. I know it all too well. I know the realities of it all, and I find myself just in a grateful position, not the fact that I made it home, but that I took the time to heal. So now I get up here, I answer questions, and hopefully provide support to the very same people that support my content, that support everything that I put out there every single day, man. I really do appreciate y'all. Jackson, I see you. If you've been incarcerated, if you got a loved one that's ever been incarcerated, you probably want to stick around for this. Make sure you share it. Let people know what's going on, man. Subscribe, all that good stuff, man. Listen, before I get into it. It's Sunday, and I remember how Sundays used to be. I remember how Sundays used to be. Sundays were a different thing not too long ago. Now, Sundays consist of, pancakes in the morning, the wife's cooking, holding the baby, feeding the dogs. Easy Sunday. I took a video. There was a falcon that landed on my fire pit. It was crazy, and just chilled for like a half hour, I promise you, which made me nervous because I got 3 dogs. 2 of them, he doesn't have a chance, but one of them's a Frenchie. I don't know. But anyways, Sundays used to be different. Sundays, I remember waiting to see if they were going to call outside rec, which they often did not. On the weekends, that's when I wanted to escape for a moment from the reality of what was, and that was prison. I remember being fortunate enough to get sent to a place called Camp 17 towards the very end of my bid, and finally being able to touch a tree again after 16 years. Like, there was some really, really, I don't know, man, just grateful moments along the journey, if you will, but only because I was deprived of some things for so long. It was the simple things. Literally, there was this tree stump in the middle of the yard, and I would just go out to the yard and go sit on a tree stump and read a book or whatever, because I hadn't been able to touch a tree in I don't know how long. It's the simple things. When you go to prison, if you're smart, you miss things, right? You don't ever want to be in prison and say, I don't miss nothing about my freedom, which makes me nervous because there are some people that I've heard made that statement. There's people that are on the inside that don't want to go home. Don't get it twisted, but this is what institutionalization does. And typically, this is also people that have been in there for a substantial amount of time, and where everything that they had at once is now gone. So what are they returning to? But hopefully, if you're smart, you miss everything. You miss the small things. The things I missed the most when I was in prison were the things that I overlooked, the things that I took for granted. It wasn't the obvious things, right? There was probably a few, right? But no, it was the smaller, more subtle things that life provided before I got locked up. And whenever I get the opportunity to talk to young people, I try to get them to get that part, and older people too. Like, it's not always the things that you're thinking about you're going to miss. It's the other thing. Just being able to eat food made with love. Mama's cooking. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody said, did I do my time in Cali? No, I did my time in VA. But being able to walk down the street, to go to the store to get a soda or something, being able to just go to the grocery store, being able to go to the movies, there's a list that goes on, going to the beach. When I came home from prison after all this time, somebody said if I did my time in Cali. No, I work a lot of times in Cali, and more specifically Granada Hills. But let me tell you something. Going to the beach for the first time in 17 years was wild, man. Standing it next to the ocean where it goes and goes, and for 17 years, you're sitting in a cell where you can't see nothing past the walls other than what's in your mind. It's heavy, man. Really heavy. Somebody said, am I from VA? No, I'm actually from Chicago. So if y'all got questions, please put them in the chat. Somebody said, why did I go to jail? I'll tell you why. Because I chose to be a follower. I'm one of the most hard-headed people you'll find nowadays. I don't really like to listen to people. I do. I don't want to say it like that, but the reason I'm so hard-headed and I'm always trying to be the leader in any situation now is because the time when I chose to be a follower, for just a few minutes, I ended up getting sentenced to 144 years in prison. You know what I'm saying? The overall sentence was 144 years, all suspended, but 19. Had to do 85% of 19. That was about 17. I did 16 years, 11 months. But I chose to be a follower, and I took my cousin and his homeboys up the street. They stuck a place up. They did what they did. Never left the vehicle. Nobody was harmed physically, none of that. But they don't play, which is another reason why I'm out here every single day. Somebody said, what job did I do? I was special and heavy equipment tech. Ironically enough, I wanted to be security forces. Did they bust everybody? Yeah, they did. Somebody said they thought they saw me on the Puffy documentary. No, I was inside the penitentiary during all that. You know, I was inside there. That's a wild situation, though, man. They did. I've been hearing things about it. They said he fed like 1,000 people there, but man, that whole situation is unique. And I often think, especially when these like high-profile people, they're catching these charges, millionaires basically, right? How that may take a toll on somebody psychologically when you go from having millions or billions or whatever, and you're able to travel the world and do what you want to do at will, and then now you're stuck in a cell or dorm or whatever. I often wonder what that would do to somebody's mind. Somebody said, what's the hardest part of jail? I don't know. There's a few things that are hard or difficult, but I don't know the exact context of the way you're asking that, but one of the hardest things is coming in with, depending upon how long you're locked up, is coming with the grips with the reality that time is going. I remember one time I was on a camp and I looked in the mirror, and by then I had been locked up probably for about 8 or 9 years. I started to age in there. Like I remember I just had one white hair in my beard. Now it's just, but you're starting to see that. You know what I'm saying? Too Tall, that's what's up, man. Glad you're home, man. Somebody said being lonely. Yeah. I think for me, I've got some stories, but at the end of the day, that time going by that you couldn't get back. Look in the mirror and man, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's pretty heavy. It's daunting when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody said, I'm not even going to repeat that comment. I'm going to need you to chill if that's the case and not put that. Lord. Listen. Yeah, right. Somebody says, I hope he's just trolling. He's just joking. Somebody said to me was not being able to be there for the people I love and not being able to provide for them. I didn't really have, the only one that stayed there for me was my mother. And I had 2 more people come into my life, including one of them, which was my wife. But yeah, so, for me, it was a little bit different. What time did I do my state, or what state did I do my time? Excuse me, VA. I was in VA. Thank you, Fabio. Hopefully you having a good day too. Backus, what's good, man? I've been up since 2:45, man. If y'all know my story, see me posting, talking about anything, man, me and the wife had our first child, baby boy. When was it? November 3rd at 11:44 p.m. My brain was like, don't mind me for a second. We over here making adjustments, man. If y'all got questions, put them in the chat, man. Somebody said essentially, if you have a wife, you have to accept the fact other men. No, I don't know. All of these things are dependent upon the individual. But I tell you what, I seen some guys stressing in there. I never stressed that over that. It was never a thought, honestly. Here's the thing: either a person wants to be committed to you, no matter what, or they don't. And especially, you know what always tripped me out to that point? the ladies that weren't necessarily faithful, but they wanted to be the wife. And depending upon your views on marriage, you take a vow, and it says for better or worse. Not if it's bad, But the scary part is some of these guys were knowing that, their ladies were, living a life without them or whatnot, and still was running right back home to them. And a lot of those guys ended up in bad situations. So, but you got plenty of solid ones too, man. Like, soldiers exist on both sides. Like, shout out to the ladies that are soldiers and hold it down and don't play no games. Like, really in the trenches with their man, not even thinking about that. So, shout out to them too, man. Somebody said they're a 21-year-old male facing 16 years. Any advice? Lawyer up. Lawyer, man. Be proactive with whatever it is. If depending upon the case, you want to get into programs now before they make you do stuff. You know what I'm saying? For punishment, etc. I talked to somebody that had basically I think it was a DUI or something like that. And I said, hey, you need to go to support classes or support groups dealing with that issue beforehand, so you can tell the judge, I've been doing this, volunteer in the community, do anything that's positive right now. But depending upon the type of case it is, like I said, make sure your lawyer's right. That's one of the most crucial things, if not the most crucial thing, prior to getting ready to go to trial or hearing or whatever. A lot of people, they don't understand that. They just take whatever lawyer gets assigned to them. It's just whatever it is, man. Caitlin, I appreciate it. Parker Jones, I really appreciate that. But yeah, make sure you're doing your research on your attorney, because these are individuals that are basically fighting or not fighting for your life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely, man. Anything to help yourself. Get a therapy. Man, just get help, bro. Somebody said, because here's the thing, anything you can do with support groups, community involvement, go to therapy, just build a track record to show the judge that's potentially going to, give you some time or not, that you're proactive. You're not waiting for somebody to tell you what to do to be a positive, productive person in society, man. Show them that ASAP. Somebody said they facing 18 years, first time going to jail. You know what's scary too, man? A lot of times, and I get it, young people, because again, that was me, right? But things are getting worse, and I just want to say that as far as trying to get over or whatnot, it's just getting worse, man. Law enforcement's getting smarter and smarter. Technology is becoming greater and greater. So get out the streets now. But same thing I just told the other gentleman, man, make sure you got a lawyer. Make sure you have somebody that's capable of defending you in a court of law. Research that lawyer. If you got a public defender, make sure there's somebody. Like, don't even play with that part. If you got the opportunity, again, to do some things proactively, get into some programs, help out in the community, get some letters of support, any of those things that you can do to help build a positive profile for you prior to going to court, do that, and stay out of trouble, bro. Stay all the way out, because the worst thing you can do while you're facing time is get some more time. Kirk Swade, what's good brother? So yeah, make sure, man. My heart goes out to the young people. I'm one of them OGs. I promise you, I'm not trying to tell y'all what to do. I'm just here to tell y'all what's going to happen if you go this way or if you go that way. And my goal, hopefully, is that you through your own chosen, hear something I say, you're like, oh, I don't even want to go that way. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't nothing but pain, heartache, loss, grief, depression. And a lot of times we're giving up our freedom for 30 seconds or instant gratification, or because we don't like the way somebody made us feel or whatever. And then we look back, and now we facing the time, or we sitting in the cell, and we realize it was not worth it. You understand what I'm saying? Too many conversations like that. You know what I'm saying? What's your first day gonna be like if you do go? What to expect? It's dependent. If you jails, typically you're gonna go to solitary confinement or a classification dorm before you get put in the general population. That's gonna be dependent upon the type of charge, severity, violent, non-violent, etc. Typically, some jails, I'm sure you get put right in the population. It varies, right? And everything could be different depending upon state system, etc. First day in prison. Well, let me go back. First day in jail also, they're going to hit you with the light shower. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get your stuff. I think jail's worse than prison, by the way. So if somebody, I'm gonna do a post about that. I think jail is worse than prison because jail is a high turnover rate, and they don't want you comfortable there because you fighting it's a lot going on, man. I'm telling you, man. It's cold. And prisons are different because guys are there. They're setting up shop. This is their home for a minute. You know what I'm saying? And they want to make sure to the best of their ability, things are running a certain way there because this is their life. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people, and not the majority, but still a lot of people that aren't coming home. So there's a certain culture in prisons. You go to different prison, different rules, whatever. It's just different. But the first day in prison, at least for me, I remember I was on Sussex too. This was after receiving, but they shaved our heads, gave us laundry. And then I remember getting assigned to building 1D. This was like in 2004. Man, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because I just turned 20. No, I think I just turned 20 or I was getting ready to turn 20. I was like right there. And let me tell you something, I'm 42 now. I don't mean no harm and disrespect to the young people. But I'm just talking about me. I didn't know nothing back then. I'm a grown man now. I'm seasoned now. I got some wisdom, some experience. I've been through some things. You understand? Back then, I thought I did, and then I got sent to Sussex too. And nobody prepared me in the jail I was at, because it was the jail I was at. Everybody I spoke to, they was getting slapped on the wrist going home, slapped on the wrist going to a level 1 yard, then going home. Me, I got sent to a level 4, and I remember the first thing that they did. You know what I'm saying? Is literally they shaved our heads. And this was before they had the blues up there. We had the burgundy 2-piece smocks or whatever. I don't know what you call them, smocks or whatever. And we get dressed and they open the door and we walk out from the hallway where laundry and all that is or whatever. And it's like July. I know it's somewhere in that summer. It's just hot. Everybody's on the rec yard. It's rec call. Never seen none. This. We might as well been out west, as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, Sussex too, the way it was built reminded me, now that I've traveled and seen prisons across the country, similar to what they do out west. And everybody was on that yard, and anything you could have seen as far as what you thought prison could have been, you probably would have seen it. As I just walked from laundry to building 1. When I got to the building, we go up the stairs. The stairs is a whole nother issue. The stairs were an issue. Listen, I really don't. I look back, and I'll just be grateful because back then, this is early on when I first came in the system. I'm from out of state. Don't nobody really know me or need to know who I am, because who am I? And I remember the first time I'm trying to get to there's about 4 dudes in the stairwell. And I guess, I don't know what was something was going on. I don't think it was commissary yet, because I think commissary was still getting brought to the building at first. They switched it. Eventually, we started going to the window, but something was going, and I'm talking about, I ain't even made it to the dorm yet, and dudes is in the hallway, and they in the stairwell, and they ready to do whatever. And I ain't trying to find out what they trying to do. And one of the brothers was like, just go ahead. And I went ahead. But this is the first time I would have to cross in a stairwell, and individuals got that steel in their hand. It's just, you in prison now. Now we get to the pod. The CO was out of his mind. I don't even know. I remember, and this ain't all CO, but this one didn't care. That's what I'm going to say. He didn't tell me nothing. He didn't give me any good information. He just said, there goes your cell. The only thing that saved me, they put me in the cell with I ain't going to say to save me because I don't know what would have happened, but I'm going to say save me at the same time. They put me in the cell with an old head from Richmond. And the old head from Richmond was well known, respected. He had some brothers that unfortunately was in the system too. And he was a good dude, man. He was just, to me, solid, up and up. Because I ain't had nothing come in the system. I ain't had no help. I was indigent like I don't know what. I think mama might have sent me $75 or something. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't had nothing. But in that first few hours, because pod rec was just ending, and that was a whole. I'm looking in the pod, and dudes is looking at me, and I ain't gonna lie. Back then, they had some predators too. Like it weren't just. It was different back then when I first came in. It weren't everybody, but you had some dudes that was on some different type timing. And I ain't never gonna be one of them talking about, oh, I ain't. No, I'll tell a story. I'll tell a story about how. Yeah, we gonna get into that. But I remember, dudes looking at me, and I'm like, man, this is where I'm supposed to live. I'm 20. I'm supposed to be, and I was in the Air Force too. You know, I messed that opportunity up. Boom, now I'm in prison. Boom. That's a shock to the system, and I'm trying to take it all in. All I see is concrete and steel, the phones on the wall, the guard in the booth with the joint pointed at us. I'm like, lines on the floor. They got red lines and yellow lines. You cross the red line, you might not be able to uncross the red line unless they pick you up off the ground. I'm just saying. I done seen some things. You cross the yellow line too fast, you might. It's a different situation, man. When you in an environment where they control your movement, literally, when you locked into a pod, this is it. And then when they call chow, they corral you from one cage section to the next. You understand what I'm saying? I would spend that time 2.5 years, almost 3. I made it off. They sent me all the way. That was a level 4, y'all. They sent me all the way to a level 2. But I was so on go from being on a level 4 and having to adapt and being on point when they sent me to the level 2, which is similar to when people leave prison and go home to their freedom. I couldn't adjust. I weren't ready. So I got sent back to Sussex 2 again. That same place that I feared. The same that I'm breaking it down to you where I couldn't even get to the pod without seeing this. Now, because I had been conditioned up there at a young age too, that's important to pay attention, young people. The environment that you're in is conditioning you. But that which was abnormal and I was scared of, that level 4 yard, I went to the level 2. I couldn't adapt. And when I found out I was getting sent back to the level 4, I was good with it. I was like, because I was familiar with it. This is what I know. I got used to the movement. You want to know what else? I like to sell. I didn't want to be in a dorm. Plus, I had too much time still to be in a dorm. I don't even know how I made it to a level 2 from the 4. But back then, they could override. They could do different things. But I was so jacked up in the head. And it's crazy because I had to pull over and talk about that real quick because at the same time, when you get to really thinking about it, there's no way I should have been that used to it. I should have been trying to get away from that. I should have been, as soon as I got to the level 2 yard, I ain't trying to go back. Javette, I see you. Oh, Dr. Yvette. I apologize. That's a doctor. I can't even. But it's an abnormal thing. But it's an abnormal thing. But this is what happens when we go to prison. We become conditioned. You wonder why people come home from prison and they still in the streets. Or why they was in the streets in the first place. It's because they've been conditioned. Now, don't get me wrong. We're in an era now where the suburban kids is infatuated with the streets. They want to go see what's up. Prison wife, what's up? And I will even admit, when you hear me tell my story, I didn't grow up in the most harshest, most cruel environments. I had every opportunity not to go that way, but I found my way in the streets too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to talk about this right here. Pay attention, man, to your moves when you're young. Time is something you don't get back. I say that often at the end of the stream when I say thank you to everybody that's on the stream. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, do y'all know? I wonder how many people on this stream. How many people have been to prison? And I just want, when I go speak at certain places, I be at, how long you been locked up for? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Condition is a process, y'all. Listen, pay attention to what you are allowing to condition you. Pay attention to what you're used to. I know brothers have been home 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and still aren't free. They haven't reconditioned. You gotta break the condition sometimes. You know what I'm saying? More money, I see you. Connie is definitely enough, man. I see 15, I see 3, I see it, man. I see it in the chat. I be having to ask questions sometimes because it's something, when I get to rolling, when I get to speaking about these topics, man, I really be back in there. Somebody says 65 years in solitary. I don't know about that, but I do know somebody did 32 in solitary. Couldn't imagine. I'm a strong person, but I couldn't imagine that. Do you know that there's individuals, I promise you, now things have shifted again in VA, but there were individuals that went to the hole because they told the guards or the administration, the powers that be, told the gentleman that they had to cut their hair. And a lot of the gentlemen, I ain't gonna say a lot, but there was a percentage of the gentlemen that refused to cut their hair because of their religious beliefs. And because of what they believed in, guess what happened? They were placed in solitary confinement. And they weren't just placed in solitary confinement. Many of those men were placed in solitary confinement for over 10 years because they refused to cut their hair. Some holes you would go in and you would see these dudes come out for the showers and they would have dreads down to the floor. I'm not here to say what to believe in or not, but I will say this. You got to believe in what you believe in if you're willing to stay in there for 10 years. And if nothing else, because this ain't even necessarily about a religion. Think about that for a second. Everybody should have refused to cut their hair. When there was, man, at one time you couldn't even grow facial hair in VA. Everybody had to walk around with the straight, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because I shave now, but that's because I do all the characters and all that. But you couldn't grow no beard. You couldn't grow no, I think you could grow a mustache. You couldn't grow this. You couldn't grow nothing. You have any type of shadow, it was a charge. Imagine being in an environment where not only are they controlling your movement, but they controlling your hair. Now, again, they've shifted that. You know, laws got changed. People fought it. It got overturned. I don't know about it. I don't know if that's everywhere. I don't know. I'm telling you what VA was like. It's crazy. It's a different situation, man. I'm sitting here on a Sunday. I'm having conversation. One thing I like about going live and streaming is I really start to remember. There's certain parts of the journey, I ain't gonna lie, like probably blocked out or whatever. I had somebody on the stream couple weeks ago. He started telling a story about me. I ain't even remember that. But as I'm going live and I'm talking about it, right? Starting to remember. Y'all got questions, man? Put it in the chat. Really appreciate y'all. I see y'all too, man. I see the time. We all over the place, man. Somebody said, when will you move on from your whole life and move on? I already have. It trips me out. Just look me up. Just like look my actual name up outside of social media and you'll see. I open schools, literally. I have a successful nonprofit. These are all, I've been in the news and everything. I take my word, go look me up. You know, I travel the country full time as a motivational speaker. You know, sometimes people will see you on social media and be so caught up, they think that this is the whole thing. No, this is what I choose to do on social media. I'm passionate about doing my part to make sure people don't go to prison or go back to prison. I'm passionate about speaking to people about recovery. I'm passionate to speaking to people that are struggling with things mentally. That's what I'm passionate about. So that's what I choose to do with my platform. Anybody can do anything with the platform, but this is what I choose to do. But again, outside of here, and I also like to talk about entrepreneurship and all that. We're getting ready to do the family stuff, you know, first time dad at 42. But yeah, man, you know, It's so much bigger, so much more to the story. Whereas was I feds or state? I was state. Somebody said, do I still play chess? I do. You definitely don't want to see me in a game of chess. You're not ready. If you had a warrant in one state, can they get you in another state? I don't give legal advice, but what I will tell you is, depending upon the warrant, they will come get you for sure. Somebody said, Dr. Yvette said, she talks about to bring awareness. Those who forget are doing to repeat. Indeed, man. You know what I'm saying? Where did I do my time in VA? I was at Haynesville Receiving, Sussex 2. Back to Haynesville Correctional Center. Back to Sussex 2. Greensville Correctional Center. St. Bride's Correctional Center. Haynesville Camp 17. And Nottoway Work Center. All between the years of 2003, 2020. Somebody said, do I really drink Keefe? It depends what day of the week and what time it is. I get up every day at 3 in the morning now. So, yeah, probably if I'm not, I need to. That's what I used to be drinking when I was getting up at 3 in the morning to go work in the kitchen in the pen. It might be time. There's days changing diapers early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Somebody said, Fatima said, I've always heard from my loved ones behind the walls that jail is the worst and that dorm prison versus cells. Yeah, jail's way worse. Way, way worse. Jay said, hey, brother, I heard some guys were looking. Exactly. Tell them I said, what's up, man? Paulo Batista, keep it. Yeah, man. Listen, at the end of the day, I enjoy getting up here, man. I enjoy getting up here, support, answering the questions, giving perspective. Thank you to everybody that's on the live. Thank you for everybody that's, making sure. Somebody said availability, merch and stuff. Link is in the bio. We got that going on, man. Appreciate y'all. If you got any other questions, man, please feel free to put them in the chat. Oh, and if you'd like to be a guest on one of these lives, man, hit me up for sure. If you got an interesting story, something that people can learn from, at the end of the day, I always look to highlight certain people, man, that are doing good, fighting through it all, man. Somebody said, what was the mentality you held so time would feel a bit faster? I stayed productive. I stayed productive no matter what. Like, the only time, even when I was in solitary confinement, but I don't even remember a time where I slowed down. Like, I was always either reading, learning something, working out, signing up for programs. I always had a decent job on the prisons, you know what I'm saying, as far as doing my time. Like, it was I made sure I had a kind of a structured routine. You know what I'm saying? I had my little hustle on the side, like store boxes, just different things, right? So, for me, I'm not saying do this if you're on the inside. Well, I am saying do this part. Read, continue to exercise your mind, work on your body, all that. Stay productive so the time isn't a waste. It may not speed up to you, but stay productive. Use the time to work on your mind and your body. Find yourself spiritually, whatever you need to do there, depending upon what you believe in. Not here to tell anybody what to believe in. But also, I ain't gonna lie, like, hustling, and I don't glorify this stuff, but hustling kept me sane too, because, being a store box man or running a parlay or whatever, like, I felt good making money every day. You know what I'm saying? Because on the inside, I mean, man, it's prison. You know what I'm saying? So you really don't have nothing to do outside of, like I said, go to work, program, stay out of trouble, of course, but, like, I wanted to save all my checks if I could. I wanted to save money. I like to be able to go out there and create a hustle, and it just gave me value. Same thing I feel like it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? Not saying do this if you behind the wall, just telling you about my journey. And I always had to have a hustle. Like, that was one of the first things I always did whenever I got into the pod. I was trying to figure out, what I could do. Somebody said, somebody's dad said they knew me. That's what's up, man. Was it boring? Prison? Yeah, pretty boring. Somebody said in a PCR. I don't even know if they have PCRs in Virginia. I think they do. I'm not sure. Um, what are some programs that were available? Again, this depends on your state, your system, etc. But like some of the programs they had were like Thinking for a Change, Victims Impact, Breaking Barriers, different programs like that. But one of the things I like about like VA system right now, some of the other systems, they're allowing former prisoners to go back and work in the prisons as certified peer specialists or peer mentors. And they're able to bring their own programs in there and mentor the guys. And to me, that's way more valuable than the programs DOC created, because to me, reentry was a joke. You know what I'm saying? And you need people that have a perspective of incarceration but went home and are successful to go back and teach people how to be successful going forward and stay free. So, they had other programs too. I'm trying to think. Nah, I ain't gonna lie. Like the programs to me were like cheesy, But a lot of brothers, honestly, they say they got a lot from it. I think Victims Impact was big for me. I backtrack on that. Victims Impact was definitely a big thing because it made me think about the true, how many different layers and people and all the way through the community to all that a crime impacts. So that is one of the programs, and the facilitator, definitely good people, somebody that I'm still in touch with to this day. The other programs I was kind of like laughing my way through, I ain't gonna lie. Programs didn't help us save knock time off, but I mean, it looked good when we went up for our annual review. Annual review is when we would be able to get like GCA level 1 was the best as far as how much earned good time you could get every month. And it's good for like transfers and stuff like that. But other than that, no. Alex says, hey, brother, glad you're showing ex-cons to change the game and get right. Much respect. Got to, man. Somebody got to, man. There's not enough of us, man. Like, there's a lot of prison content creators, and they like, I don't know, man. Like, they telling the story, but I'm trying to, like, give practical information people can apply in order to be successful. It's bigger than just the content. I was always taught if you keep the people as the purpose, you'll be all right. So I feel like, I get up here and we have, you ask questions, I give answers to the best of my ability. I've had some guests come up here recently and, provide information, their own wisdom and all that too. So I think that's just going to be the theme of this, man. So thank you. I appreciate y'all for rocking with it because we definitely building it out. Yep. Over here. Had to get that. Somebody said still on a Keefe. We got Keefe mug is empty right now. We just went through one, man. I was telling somebody, get up at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning. Depending on when he starts, ooh, boy. Shout out to all the parents of the newborns right now, man. Let me tell you something. Man. And also, I learned something, fun fact. My son is the first generation Gen Beta. It's the first generation of people which will know life only with AI, which is crazy. It's a new world, man. It's a new world, y'all. Again, man, I appreciate y'all. I enjoy getting up here every single day, answering questions, man, showing support the way y'all show support. I'll be back up here every single day. If there's a time specifically y'all think I should jump up here, please put that in the chat. I was thinking about 7 p.m. Eastern, but if y'all got a better time, let me know. At the end of the day, like I always say, simply up here to tell the stories and have the dialogue, not to glorify, but simply to educate in hopes that people can stay out of prison, especially my brothers and sisters that came home, man. Remember, I don't care how tough it is out here. Remember, the worst day out here is better than the best day out there or in there. You know what I'm saying? So y'all know what it is, man. Stay focused. Keep going. I'm about to watch a little football. Put the Christmas tree up finally. We're a little bit late.